Claire Bennett was standing in the hotel kitchen with buttercream on her sleeve and smoke in her eyes when her phone lit up with a photo of her younger sister holding the keys to a penthouse. Outside, beneath crystal chandeliers, her parents were applauding Lily as if she had just saved a life, while Claire's own award for excellence sat forgotten on a steel counter beside a tray of cracked champagne glasses. For a moment, Claire could not move. The kitchen roared around her. Pans clanged. A chef cursed under his breath. The sharp smell of burned sugar curled through the air like a warning. Yet all she could see was the message from her mother. "Come downstairs now. Lily's cake is wrong. You are good at fixing these things. Not congratulations, sweetheart. Not we are proud of you. Just come downstairs." Claire was 26 years old enough to know that some wounds did not bleed on the outside. They sat deep under the ribs, quiet and patient, until one careless sentence split them open. She looked at the silver pin on her blazer, the one the hotel manager had placed there less than 20 minutes earlier. Event Manager of the Year. Her hands had trembled when the room applauded. She had searched the audience for her parents, Martin and Elaine Bennett, but their seats were empty. They had been upstairs, preparing Lily's surprise. Lily was 23, soft-voiced when she wanted something, helpless when responsibility knocked, radiant when attention found her. Claire had loved her once with the innocent loyalty of an older sister. She had tied Lily's shoes, packed her lunches, stayed awake during storms to tell her stories. But love, when fed on unfairness for too long, grew thorns. Their family lived in a polished suburb outside Chicago, in a brick house with tall windows and trimmed hedges. From the street, the Bennetts looked perfect. Martin owned a chain of luxury furniture stores. Elaine planned charity luncheons where women wore pearls and praised each other's generosity. They spoke often about family values. They framed photographs of both daughters in the hallway. Yet somehow, Lily's pictures were always larger. When Claire was little, she learned early not to ask for too much. If she won a spelling contest, her father said, "That is my responsible girl." If Lily managed to finish her homework without crying, the whole family went out for dinner. When Claire played piano at school, her parents missed it because Lily had a headache. When Lily sang off-key in a church pageant, Elaine recorded every second with tears in her eyes. Claire became useful. That was her role. The calm one. The capable one. The daughter who could carry heavy bags, soothe angry guests, remember birthdays, fix broken plans, and smile while doing it. That evening at the Grand Marlowe Hotel was supposed to be different. Claire's career had finally stepped into the light. Her supervisor had nominated her for the annual Leadership Award after she rescued 3 major events from disaster in one season. Even Victor Shaw, the quiet owner of the hotel, had watched her with sharp interest from the back of the ballroom. But upstairs, Lily's engagement party glittered brighter. Then the call came. The custom cake had arrived with the wrong initials. Elaine's voice sliced through the phone, tight and embarrassed. "Claire, please do not make this about you. Tonight is important for your sister." Claire had gone downstairs. Of course she had. She always did. Now she stood in the kitchen, giving orders with a steadiness that made the staff obey without question. Replace the top tier. Bring white roses from the lobby arrangement. Warm the gold ribbon so it bends cleanly. Move the dessert table closer to the west wall. No one panic. The chef stared at her as if she were the only adult in the room. Upstairs, music swelled. A wave of applause crashed through the ceiling. Claire stepped into the service hallway and looked through the narrow crack between the doors. Lily stood beneath a spotlight, crying prettily as Martin lifted a velvet box. Inside were the keys to a penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan. "Our sweet Lily deserves a beautiful beginning," he said. Claire felt something inside her go very still. Nora, her best friend from the hotel, appeared beside her. She saw the buttercream, the award pin, the expression on Claire's face. "They did it again. Didn't they?" Nora whispered. Claire wanted to defend them. Habit rose in her throat like a reflex. They were busy. Lily needed help. It was only a party. But the words died before they reached her mouth. Because beyond the glass, her mother was wiping Lily's tears. Her father was beaming. Guests were lifting phones to capture the perfect family moment. And Claire, the daughter who had saved the night, stood hidden in the hallway like hired help. For the first time in her life, she did not feel small. She felt awake. Claire did not remember walking back into the kitchen. One moment she was staring through the service door at Lily's shining face, at the velvet box, at the penthouse keys glinting beneath the chandelier light. The next, she was standing in front of a ruined cake with her hands pressed flat against the cold steel counter, breathing as if she had climbed a mountain. Around her, the kitchen waited. The head pastry chef, a nervous young man named Matteo, looked at her with flour on his cheek and panic in his eyes. The top tier had collapsed. The gold initials were wrong. Lily's name had been written before her fiancé's, and Elaine would treat that like a public scandal. Claire swallowed the ache in her throat and became what everyone expected her to be. Useful. Bring me the spare vanilla sheet cake. Scrape the top clean. Save the sugar flowers. Heat the knife before every cut. Nora, call the florist and ask for white orchids from the lobby arrangement. Matteo, breathe. We are not burying anyone. We are fixing a cake. The staff moved instantly. That was the strange thing about Claire. At home, she was treated like furniture. At work, people followed her voice like a lighthouse in bad weather. She did not shout. She did not beg. She simply saw the problem, broke it into pieces, and carried everyone across. Nora watched from the doorway, her jaw tight. She had seen Claire handle floods, missing bridesmaids, drunken groomsmen, power outages, and one terrible charity dinner where the guest speaker fainted into the soup. But she had never seen Claire look this pale. They bought Lily a penthouse? Nora asked quietly. Claire kept her eyes on the cake. A small one. I think. Nora let out a humorless laugh. Claire. Fine. A very large one. And your parents could not stay downstairs long enough to see you receive the award you worked 10 years to earn? Claire's fingers tightened around the piping bag. It was not 10 years. Nora stepped closer. It was your whole life. The words struck harder than Claire expected. Her whole life. Yes. Maybe that was the truth she had been avoiding. She remembered being 13, standing beside a science fair table with a blue ribbon pinned to the poster board. Her father had promised to come. Her mother had promised too. Instead, they took Lily to buy a new dress because Lily had cried that morning and said she felt ugly. Claire had waited until the janitor turned off half the gym lights before she understood no one was coming. She remembered being 17, accepted into a summer leadership program in Boston. Elaine had said it was too expensive. 3 weeks later, Lily got riding lessons because horses might help her confidence. She remembered college. Cheap noodles. Double shifts. Borrowed textbooks. Winter nights walking home with frozen fingers because she could not afford rideshares. Lily, meanwhile, changed majors twice, quit 2 internships, and still received monthly deposits from their parents because, as Martin always said, Lily needed room to find herself. Claire had found herself in storage closets, staff bathrooms, and hotel corridors, holding broken plans together with tired hands. The cake was almost restored when Elaine swept into the kitchen, pearls shining at her throat, perfume cutting through the smell of sugar and steam. Is it fixed? She asked, not looking at Claire's face. Almost, Claire said. Elaine glanced at the award pin on Claire's blazer as if noticing it for the first time. Oh. They gave that to you tonight? Claire waited. 1 heartbeat. 2. That is nice, Elaine said. But sweetheart, please take it off before you come upstairs. It may draw attention away from Lily in the photos. Something in Nora's expression hardened. Matteo looked down. Even the kitchen seemed to fall silent. Claire's hand rose slowly to the pin. For one terrible second, old obedience pulled at her. Smile. Agree. Make it easier. Do not embarrass anyone. Do not ask to be seen. Then a man's voice came from behind Elaine. Actually, Mrs. Bennett, I would prefer she keep it on. Everyone turned. Victor Shaw stood at the kitchen entrance in a dark suit, quiet and composed, his silver hair catching the fluorescent light. He was the owner of the Grand Marlowe, a man whose approval could change a career with one sentence. His eyes rested on Claire, not with pity, but with recognition. I have watched Miss Bennett save 3 events this year, he said. Tonight, she saved yours too. Elaine's smile faltered. Claire felt heat rise behind her eyes. For once, someone important had said it aloud. Not in a hallway. Not after the damage was done. Here. In front of her mother. Victor gave Claire a small nod. When you are finished, I would like to speak with you about a position upstairs. A real one. Claire looked at the cake, then at her mother, then at the shining pin still fastened over her heart. And for the first time that night, she did not remove it. Claire followed Victor Shaw out of the kitchen with the award pin still on her blazer, but every step felt heavier than the last. Behind her, the repaired cake was being carried upstairs like a rescued patient. In front of her, the corridor stretched long and quiet, lined with framed photographs of elegant weddings, smiling brides, golden anniversaries, perfect families pretending that love had never once been complicated. Victor stopped near a side lounge overlooking the Chicago night. Through the tall window, Lake Michigan lay dark and restless, its surface catching scattered pieces of moonlight. He did not speak at first. He simply studied Claire with the patient eyes of a man who had spent years learning when silence was kinder than questions. You have a gift, he said at last. Claire almost laughed. A gift. In her family, it had always been called being practical. Being easy. Being the one who could manage. I am good at emergencies, she said. No, Victor replied. Emergencies reveal people. They do not create them. Tonight revealed you. The words settled deep inside her, warm and painful at once. Claire looked down at her hands. There was sugar beneath one fingernail, a faint burn near her wrist, and a tiny smear of gold frosting across her cuff. She looked nothing like the polished women upstairs. Yet Victor Shaw was speaking to her as if she belonged in rooms where decisions were made. I am opening a new branch in Boston, he continued. I need an operations director who can lead under pressure, protect standards, and understand people. I had planned to interview several candidates next month. Now I am wondering whether the strongest one has been standing in my own hotel all along. Claire's breath caught. Boston. The word opened a window in her chest. A city far enough from Elaine's voice, Martin's expectations, Lily's shadow. A place where no one would call her the capable one and mean the forgotten one. Before she could answer, her phone vibrated. Then again. Then again. Elaine. Lily. Elaine. Martin. Victor noticed. Family? Claire nodded. He gave her a card. Think about the offer. But Miss Bennett, think as yourself. Not as the person they trained you to be. When he left, Claire stood alone for a long moment, holding the card as if it were both a key and a question. Then she slipped into the laundry room at the end of the corridor, shut the door, and finally let her knees weaken. The machines rumbled around her. Warm towels tumbled behind round glass windows. The air smelled of soap, steam, and cotton. It was the kind of hidden room guests never imagined existed, though everything beautiful upstairs depended on places like this. Claire sank onto a folded stack of linens and called her grandmother. Margaret answered on the second ring. My girl, she said, her voice soft but alert. What happened? That was all it took. Claire broke. She told her everything. The award. The empty seats. The cake. The penthouse. Her mother asking her to remove the pin so Lily could shine alone. Victor Shaw stepping in. The Boston offer. The terrible, shameful ache of wanting to disappear and wanting to scream at the same time. Margaret did not interrupt. Claire could hear the faint tick of a clock in the background, the slow breathing of an old house, the steadiness of someone who had survived more storms than she had ever described. When Claire finished, Margaret spoke in a voice Claire had never heard before. It was not gentle. It was steel wrapped in velvet. Listen to me, Claire. You are not the backstage curtain for your sister's life. Claire pressed a hand over her mouth. Your father knows what it feels like to be overlooked, Margaret continued. His older brother was worshipped by your grandfather. Martin spent his childhood trying to earn a glance. I thought that pain would make him fair. Instead, he turned around and handed the same wound to you. Claire closed her eyes. Somewhere upstairs, music burst into laughter. Lily's party was still alive, still glowing, still hungry for attention. What do I do, Grandma? Claire whispered. You stop helping them hide you. At that moment, the laundry room door opened. Lily stood there in her white dress, cheeks flushed, diamonds at her ears, impatience in her eyes. For a second, she looked like a child who had wandered into the wrong room and hated what she saw. Mom says you are making everything awkward, Lily said. We need you upstairs for photos. And please, Claire, do not bring that sad face. This is supposed to be my night. Claire slowly lowered the phone. Margaret's voice came through, clear and sharp. Tell your sister the truth. Lily frowned. Is that Grandma? Claire stood. Her hands were still shaking, but something in her spine had changed. The old Claire would have apologized. The old Claire would have wiped her eyes, fixed her smile, and stepped back into the role assigned to her. But the old Claire had been left in the kitchen beside the broken cake. Yes, Claire said quietly. It is Grandma. And she is right. Lily blinked, uncertain now. Claire touched the pin on her blazer. I will come upstairs, she said. But I am not coming as your helper. I am not coming as the invisible daughter. And I am not taking this pin off. For the first time that evening, Lily had nothing to say. Claire walked back into the ballroom beside Lily, but they no longer looked like sisters returning from a private conversation. They looked like two women stepping out of opposite sides of a storm. The music softened as they entered. The chandelier light poured over the white roses, the crystal glasses, the polished floor. Everything was beautiful in the way expensive things could be beautiful, shining hard enough to hide the cracks underneath. At the center of the room stood the small gold model of Lily's new penthouse, placed on a velvet-covered table like a crown. Elaine spotted them first. Relief crossed her face, then irritation when she saw the award pin still fastened to Claire's blazer. Claire, sweetheart, Elaine said through a tight smile, there you are. We are ready for family photos. Stand on the left, please. Not too close to Lily. The photographer needs a clean angle. Martin adjusted his cufflinks, already impatient. Come on, Claire. Let us get this done before the guests start leaving. Lily moved toward the center automatically, her white dress catching the light. She looked back once at Claire, uncertain for the first time all evening. Claire heard her grandmother's words in her mind. You stop helping them hide you. She stepped forward, but not into the place Elaine had pointed to. She moved to the front of the velvet table, between the penthouse model and the camera. Elaine's smile cracked. Claire, what are you doing? Claire looked at her mother, then her father, then the guests who had begun to turn their heads. I am not taking that picture. The room seemed to inhale. Martin gave a short, embarrassed laugh. Do not be dramatic. It is one photograph. No, Claire said. It has never been one photograph. The photographer lowered his camera. Nora appeared near the side wall, her face pale with worry but her eyes full of fierce pride. Victor Shaw stood near the back of the ballroom, silent, watching. Then, through the crowd, Margaret Bennett came forward slowly with her cane, each step small but determined. Elaine's voice dropped. "This is not the place." Claire felt the old fear rise. The fear of being rude. The fear of being difficult. The fear of making others uncomfortable by telling the truth. But beneath that fear was something stronger now. A clear, steady anger. Not wild. Not ugly. Necessary. "If not here, then where?" Claire asked. "In the kitchen? In the hallway? In the laundry room where I was crying while you celebrated Lily's penthouse?" A murmur moved through the guests. Lily's face flushed. "Claire, stop." "I have stopped for years," Claire said, turning to her. "I stopped asking when Mom and Dad missed my school events. I stopped complaining when they called me independent and called you delicate. I stopped expecting birthdays, graduations, or promotions to matter if you had a party, a crisis, or a new dress in the same week." Martin's expression hardened. "That is unfair. We have supported you." "Supported me?" Claire's voice trembled, then steadied. "I worked through college while Lily had her rent paid. I bought second-hand shoes for interviews while she got a designer wardrobe for finding herself. Tonight, I received the first major award of my career, and you were not there. Then Mom asked me to take off the pin because it might draw attention from Lily." Elaine looked around, humiliated. "I only meant the photos should look balanced." "Balanced?" Claire repeated softly. "No. Balanced would have been seeing both of your daughters. Balanced would have been saying, 'Claire, we are proud of you too.'" Silence fell so completely that the clink of ice in a glass sounded loud. Margaret reached Claire's side and faced her son. "Martin," she said, "I watched your father make you feel invisible beside your brother. I watched it break something in you. And now you have done the same thing to your own child." Martin went pale. "That is different," he whispered. "No," Margaret said. "It is familiar." Lily's eyes filled with tears, but they were not her usual pretty tears. They were confused, frightened, almost childlike. "I did not know it was that bad," she said. Claire looked at her sister, and for once, she did not soften the truth. "You did not want to know." The words landed like a door closing. Then Victor Shaw stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "For what it is worth, Miss Bennett saved this event tonight. Without her, there would be no perfect cake, no smooth program, no elegant evening for anyone to remember. If excellence deserves a spotlight, she has earned one." Claire felt the room shift. Not fully. Not magically. But enough. Elaine's eyes lowered. Martin looked at the award pin as if seeing it for the first time. Lily glanced at the penthouse model, then back at Claire, and some of the shine drained from her face. Claire took one breath. "I am leaving now," she said. "Not because I am weak. Because I finally understand I do not have to stand where I am placed." She turned and walked toward the ballroom doors. Nora joined her. Margaret followed. Behind them, no one applauded. No music swelled. No perfect ending arrived. But with every step away from that glittering room, Claire felt lighter. For the first time in her life, she was not waiting to be chosen. She had chosen herself. Claire spent the night in Nora's small apartment, wrapped in a knitted blanket, listening to the city breathe beyond the windows. Chicago glittered in the distance, but inside the room everything was quiet. No chandeliers. No cameras. No carefully posed family smiles. Just Nora placing a cup of tea in her hands and saying nothing, because silence, when offered with love, could be softer than any speech. Her phone kept lighting up on the coffee table. Elaine called. Martin called. Lily called. Then came the messages. "You embarrassed us. You misunderstood everything. Please answer. We need to talk." Claire turned the phone face down. For the first time, she did not rush to fix the discomfort she had not caused. She let them sit with it. By morning, the anger inside her had cooled into something steadier. Not peace. Not yet. More like a clean wound after the poison had finally been drawn out. She washed her face, pinned back her hair, and looked at herself in Nora's bathroom mirror. The woman staring back looked tired, older somehow, but not broken. At noon, she agreed to meet her family at her apartment. Not her parents' house. Not Lily's penthouse celebration. Her place. Her ground. When Elaine entered, she looked smaller without the pearls and polished smile. Martin followed with his shoulders low, his face gray from a sleepless night. Lily came last, wearing no makeup, her eyes swollen. For a moment, no one spoke. The apartment was modest, with second-hand furniture, a tiny kitchen, and a stack of work manuals on the table. Claire saw her mother notice the worn armchair, the repaired lamp, the careful life her daughter had built without much help. Martin was the first to speak. "I thought because you were capable, you did not need as much from us." Claire folded her hands in her lap. "Being capable is not the same as being cared for." The words filled the room. Elaine pressed a tissue to her mouth. "I told myself Lily was more fragile. You always seemed so strong." "I became strong because I had no other choice," Claire said. "That does not mean it did not hurt." Lily looked down at her hands. "I liked being the one everyone celebrated," she admitted. "I told myself you did not care about those things. Awards. Attention. Gifts. I think I knew that was not true, but it made everything easier for me." Claire studied her sister. There was no smirk now. No shining performance. Only a young woman seeing the stage lights dim and not knowing who she was without them. "I cannot fix this for you," Claire said softly. "I cannot make you feel better by pretending it was fine." Lily nodded, tears slipping down her face. "I know. I told Dad I do not want the penthouse. Not like this." Elaine looked startled, but Lily kept going. "Maybe sell it. Or rent it. Use some of the money for something that actually matters. A scholarship. Something for women who have to work through school like Claire did." The room went still. For the first time, Claire felt sorrow without bitterness. It was not forgiveness yet. Forgiveness was not a switch. It was a road, and she had only just found the gate. A week later, Claire walked into Victor Shaw's office for her final interview. She wore the same blazer, the same award pin, cleaned and polished. Victor asked what made her ready to lead a hotel branch in Boston. Claire did not recite a perfect answer. "I learned leadership in rooms where no one clapped," she said. "I learned to stay calm because falling apart was never an option. But now I am learning something else. A leader should not have to disappear to make others comfortable." Victor smiled. "That is exactly why I want you." 1 month later, Claire stood in her new Boston apartment, surrounded by cardboard boxes and afternoon light. It was small, but it was hers. Margaret had mailed her a silver nursing pin with a note tucked inside. "Service is noble. Self-erasure is not." Claire held the note for a long time. Her parents had helped with the move. Awkwardly. Carefully. Martin carried boxes without giving instructions. Elaine brought lunch from Claire's favorite cafe and, before leaving, hugged her longer than usual. "I am proud of you," Elaine whispered. Claire closed her eyes. The words mattered. But they no longer held the power to save or destroy her. After they left, Claire opened the window. Boston air swept into the room, cool and bright. She pinned Margaret's note above her desk, beside the award that had started everything. She had not won a perfect family. She had not erased years of hurt. But she had done something greater. She had stepped out of the kitchen, out of the shadow, out of the role they had written for her. And finally, she had chosen her own name. If you have ever been called strong just because people did not want to care for you, share your story in the comments. Like this video if Claire's journey touched your heart, And subscribe to Still Waters Payback for more stories about people who were underestimated, overlooked, and finally brave enough to stand in their own light.